From Red Liberty Media, today we're here in Venice Beach to find out what people think about biological men competing in women's sports. Let's get going.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing today? This is the Conservative Take, and my name is Kyle. And today we're going to bring Miss Kyra Bowlby into our live stream to talk about culture. And Miss Kyra, who is a contributor with Red Liberty Media, that clip you just saw was some footage we're going to go over today. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But Kyra, you've been here for a while, actually, a couple of years, actually. How are you doing tonight? Oh, you think you're muted. Let me get you here. I think her mic's muted. But anyway, well, she's muted. We'll let her figure that out. Maybe I can get a helper here. Maybe I cannot. Anyway, while she gets that resolved, we just talked about culture and about how our society, for the most part, is very, very keen on what you can say, what you can't say, what you can appropriate, what you can't appropriate in terms of your culture. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. And in the meantime, I'm going to bring up a couple articles here that I have. But if you're new to this channel, we take pop culture and politics and we filter it in a conservative manner. And what we do here, oh, here she is, she's back. And what we do is we talk about these things because the left, well, they're not all there. But who is here is Miss Kyra. Are you back there? I think you're still muted. What's going on? Well, we can see her. It was just working in the green room. We'll get this resolved. I'll pull her off till we get this resolved. But anyway, until she gets that resolved, we'll just continue talking here. And so what I would do is I'll actually go through some articles here that we have set up. And what I have here is a couple things I find really interesting that I want to talk to you about. Really the first thing I want to talk to you about. And that's this article here. It's a poll that came out in, I guess this is Daily Caller, and it involves a poll with Joe Biden and about how he's lost support with the black voters, really within with the 6 months from 88% down to actually 56%, which is astronomical. I'm gonna check on Kyra again, see if she's back. Let's see. We'll try her again, see what happens here. Let me see if I can get you unmuted. Somehow I can't unmute your microphone on this side. She'll figure that out, hopefully. But in the meantime, what we'll do is this article here. It says here that President Joe Biden's support among Black Americans has taken a nosedive in a matter of months, according to from Marquette University Law School. The Marquette poll released Thursday found that Biden's approval rating with Black Americans is currently just 56%. That's incredible. That's a drop of more than 30% from July 2020, when his approval among the same group was 88%. So not only is Joe Biden also screwing up the economy, screwing up America, screwing up our foreign policy, he's also screwing up probably one of his largest bases that he has in the community, and that would be the Black voter. And so, yes, this is live. So, yeah, so anyway, so if you want to make comments here, go ahead and put that down in the bottom there, and I will get to it as soon as possible. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, if you put the post in the bottom, I will get to that and talk about them. But the fact is that even the staunchest supporters of the Biden administration, or in this case, the Biden regime, understand that what he's doing to this country is doing nothing more than utterly destroying it. And so he says here that, let me go back here a little bit here. It says that since July 2021, Biden's approval among whites has gone from 50% to 40%. That's 10%. Among Blacks, has gone from 88% to 56%. That's more than 30% down to 51%. And that is insane. So my question is for people is let me know what you guys think in terms of what's going on with, that situation. But what do you think the Democrats are going to do to try and get those supporters back? Because right now the midterms are coming up. And if that holds, then we're not only talking about a bloodbath in the election in the midterms, but we're talking about a obliteration. We're talking about not only them losing, which they're going to lose anyway, the Congress, you're also going to lose the Senate, and not by a small margin. Because borderline Senate seats that are out there, but people like Herschel Walker in Georgia is going to be absolute shoo-in. And a lot of people who are, I think Collins is running as well. She may even get primaried out, and she may even lose. And there's several rhinos out there that also could lose their seats and flip the entire Senate in a way that's going to be to the point where the Democrats won't have any power whatsoever. They'll also have to run everything through fiat, through executive order, and that's the only way they're going to be able to govern. But right now, I'm just curious what you guys think about the Black supporter vote. But anyway, let me also say this, guys, that I'm actually pretty excited because what's happened in this channel recently is that I have had serious problems with my computer. Serious problems. And I finally was able to get some money together and able to get some equipment in here. And I got this thing here. It's pretty cool. It's called, I'll push on the camera. Let me get out of here and go to my other. I'll go to Solo Shot here. So I can go do that. And I can actually program everything I want on the screen. It's really, really awesome. So I can go from all kind of cool stuff. I can go to the screen. I can go to a Solo Shot. I can go to no camera, back to Solo Shot. It's great. It's awesome. So anyway, I'm going to go through here some comments here. See InfoWar here. If you're a fan of Alex Jones, man, that's awesome. We listen to him just about every other day. InfoWar, they have a lot of cool stuff there. Let's see. What are they thinking about in the first place? I don't know. I used to, excuse me. Oh, Kyra's back. Let me see if I get her back on screen. Oh, there she is. I think you're good there.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. The freaking audio sounded like a robot, so I couldn't hear anything at all.
That might have been my fault on my side. I don't know.
Dude, that was so weird.
Yeah. So you saw me try to fill time, right?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. It was like
no, that's fine.
Weird. And then my dad had to come up here and help me. So I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh. But that was, yeah, I'm sorry. You just sounded like a robot, and then the RLM video was playing behind you like a robot.
Yeah.
And
that might have been
very
weird.
Yeah, that was so weird.
That might have been what did it. See, well, I'll get to technical stuff later, but that might have been what messed it up. Because you weren't expecting me to go to a video after the countdown, so I kind of did that as improv. Yeah. So I should apologize there as well. Mark's on, by the way, and Epstein Ghost is on.
I see some Alex Jones supporters on here tonight.
Man, I love me some Alex Jones. I'm a convert to him, only because he's been right for the past 4 years and beyond, actually. Thank you, by the way, Epstein's Ghost. I appreciate that. Me and Kyra split this money. I send her checks from this, so I appreciate everyone's support here on this channel. I mean, because I think this is something that she takes her time out here to do this, so I help her as much as I can with this. So I appreciate everyone's help on this, and just the support. It really encourages us to do this more. Let's get to Mr. Mark Jackson, who had to apologize because, well, you'll explain it later in the comments, Mark, about why. But I guess you got banned from my channel or something. Got kicked off my channel. He got kicked off, Kyra. Twice.
YouTube's been super weird lately. I don't know why. Dang, that's so weird. I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, I guess we got some more love here. This is $20 from Ricky Y. Sweet, looking forward to watching with your new equipment. Appreciate you, Kyle, and Kyra as well. I appreciate that. helps pay the bills because this wasn't free, unfortunately. Unlike Democrats think this stuff is free. That stuff grows on trees. You know, equipment and soundboards and microphones and all that stuff just grows on trees if you're a liberal, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. I was talking to my dad recently about Alex Jones. There's like another commentator I have been kind of into, but I don't want to mention his name because you'll get banned.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You know?
Yep, young guy.
Cool. Okay.
I'll tell you off camera what happened with him offline. There was a big debate within well, I won't say, but yeah, we'll talk.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I like him too, by the way. But yeah,
do you really?
I do.
Cool. Okay. Because I was talking to my dad recently, and he was like, you got to be careful about what commentators you watch. So
right.
I hear that Alex Jones is a bit of a radical, and then the other person is is a little
yeah.
He's a little he's banned everywhere, so like if you mention his name you'll get banned too. So yeah,
we know King Nub. We'll talk about him a little bit too, but he likes him a lot too. So
oh my gosh, I didn't know you liked him. That's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't agree with everything everyone says. There's just nothing there's nothing that no person says other than Jesus Christ himself that I agree with 100% of everything they say. You know, you can't possibly agree with everyone everything says. Unless they're Jesus, you can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, I have to keep it on the down low a little bit because people automatically, like, if you say you like him, then they're gonna be like, oh well, you're a white supremacist. So exactly. I'm glad you don't think that about me. Appreciate that.
Well, if Candace Owens can be a white supremacist, I can too. So so yeah, you said it was YouTube. So okay, so I'm trying to go through these comments as much as possible, but we have some reactions on the street that I want to go over, but now I'm afraid to go over. If I go over it, then guess what's going to happen? It may kick you off again. But do you want to try one? And like, did you watch the video from Red Liberty Media?
I did. Yeah, I watched.
I'm gonna put their.
I don't know if it will work because last time it tried to work, it like didn't.
I'm gonna put their banner up right there. Give them some love. We're both contributors with Red Liberty Media. They're a great outfit, and they're doing some cool things. They just interviewed Brandon Straka from Walkaway campaign, and a lot of cool things going on there. Angel is amazing, and what they're doing over there is great. And Kyra has her own channel over there, I guess, your own series as well. So you want to talk about what you're doing over there? Just get a little quick plug of what you're doing.
It's a show called Unfiltered, so it basically focuses on freedom of speech violations on college campuses and across the country, and it also focuses on promoting modesty, and it's anti-feminist.
Okay, that's perfect. I did a quick meme on that, basically saying that feminism is like believing that going to work is okay, but staying with your kids, you're being a slave. You know, serving your kids and your husband, you're being a slave, but going to work, for someone else is okay. What do you think about that in terms of, I mean, I understand women have the right to do what they want to do, but what do you think about in terms of the feminist movement, not from its origins, but where it is now, particularly?
Well, like, what's your question?
I'm sorry. In terms of feminism, because it started out basically allowing women to just do things that men were oppressing them, literally, to what it is now. And can you talk about the evolution of where feminism began, it was intention was, to where it is now?
Yeah, so the intention of feminism was to give women rights in America. So the right to vote, the right to run for office, the right to work, to be in the workplace. And that has totally changed nowadays to women wanting to basically be the same as men. And also, like, feminists now are promoting transgenderism. So they're basically promoting transgenderism, and basically a lot of the time when it comes down to like feminism as well, one thing as well is they want to promote like transgenderism, which I don't agree with. So recently Adele actually got in trouble for saying that she was a proud woman when she was accepting an award. And it was super interesting because the mob just totally came after her. They canceled her and called her transphobic when she did nothing wrong. She just said she was a proud woman. So nowadays, feminists want women and men to be the same. And instead of like noting those biological differences, like women are nurturers, we're the mothers. We are the ones that are supposed to take care of our household. But at the same time, it's super interesting as well because nowadays they want men and women to be the same. They want us to forget about our gender differences because to them, if we note our gender differences, that's sexist, which it isn't. We're biologically made differently. There's this book called the Holy Bible you can read that notes this, which a lot of feminists don't like to read because they're not religious. A lot of the feminist movement is atheist, and they don't believe in God. And they don't even accept a lot of religious people into their movement. So they promote women's rights, but they want women to basically act more masculine, if that makes sense.
Okay, got you. Yeah. So he said it's Red Liberty Media, not Red Letter Media. So I'm trying to get through some of these comments are hilarious. It's amazing how racist liberals can actually be. And I'm not even going to say what's going on behind the scenes. You can see it, can't you? But anyway, so that's exactly right. So, and I know, it's just they take something that was good and they turn it into something that's totally anti-God, anti-country, anti whatever, and they just undermine just the whole point of it. Jerry's a good friend of mine on Facebook. Thank you so much, Jerry, for that. I really appreciate that for this channel. And so you want to just get to Mark here. He says here, promotion, I get a kick out of them promoting women's rights, but I think Leah Thomas isn't fair. I guess he means about in terms of her competing. What's your thoughts on, I think I know, but Leah Thomas, with her competing, against biological females, there's been a lot of backlash on that. And I know.
Are you asking what I think of him competing?
I don't know what's going on with this question. I think yes. What's your thought with him competing with biological?
My opinion might come off transphobic, but I don't really care. These are biological men competing in women's sports, especially swimming. Men compete differently in swimming than women. They are known to have a more stronger bone structure, and they're actually known to swim faster than women. And it was really interesting because I was like watching interviews and reading up on stuff, and I learned that during the meet, the coach was actually yelling at Leah Thomas swimming, and they told him specifically, they said swim slower while he was competing against another woman. So for me personally, like, I'm not going to use the correct pronouns with someone who's a biological male competing in women's sports. I'm just not. And
it's very,
and anyone who gets mad at that's not fair. And at the same time, people need to understand that men and women, like I said before, they do have biological differences. Men and women are split. We're basically like, I don't know if I should say segregated, but we're in different sports for a reason. Men and women's sports are separated for a reason, and people need to note that. And when you transition, you're not going to automatically, at the snap of a finger, become a woman if you're a man. You're just not. You're a biological male competing in women's sports, and that shouldn't be a thing.
Wow. Yeah, the thing is, when someone says Leah Thomas or whatever, that's what it's like. I've been conditioned if it's a girl's name to use the female pronoun. So that's I totally agree with you on that. I don't that to me is just weird that you have to have a female's name and then you turn right around and then say where they are, even though they were born a man, and then truth has been totally thrown out the window here. Objective truth has been thrown out the window. And I want to play this clip. Should I try to play this clip? Because it's the first one where the guy was talking about what you just said about swimming, and he just had his argument, just really went through. You want to give it a shot or play
we can try if it plays.
All right, let's see if it works. Hopefully you won't get destroyed here.
Yes.
You were born
a girl.
You were born a girl.
Yes.
Okay.
Now I'm transitioning to a male.
Okay. When did you start that transition? Or I don't want to ask anything you're not
5 years
comfortable.
ago.
5 years ago. How old are you?
29.
28. Oh, so you started after, like, you were
Of age, yeah,
an
basically.
adult and everything.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. So my question is, do you think it's like morally right for men who like were born biological males, grew up as males, and then transitioned as an adult to female to compete in women's sports?
It just depends. Yes and no. It just
Okay.
depends the sport, I feel, personally. Because at the end of the day, even though it's a transition, for a man to transition to a woman, it's a harder process. So regardless, a man is still born with stronger, body parts strong. You get what I'm saying? So
that's exactly what you just said, right, Kyra?
Yeah, but he said it depends on the sport, and I'm not sure I understand what that means, because when you're competing in women's sports as a biological male, like he said, you have a stronger bone structure and you just have biological differences over a woman. So for me, I don't think it should depend on the sport. I think men and women should be put in their different sports areas. So if it's like a transgender who's transitioning to become a female, then he, because it's a biological male, should compete in men's sports, in my opinion. And that might be controversial, but when it comes to sports in general, I don't think it's necessarily, I don't see how that would be fair, especially depending on the sport. I don't think it would matter about the sport. It would matter about who's competing. You know what I mean? Because like the
Right.
man is stronger over the woman. And even if you're just transitioning, even if you're just transitioning, you're not going to automatically become that gender overnight. Like you're always going to be a biological male, even if you do try to transition, if that makes sense. Which might sound transphobic, but whatever. It's just the truth. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, so I think here's the argument here, right? So what's wrong with a biological male who's transitioning to a female? What's wrong with them competing with men? There's never an argument for them doing that. The only argument is the advantage is for them to do the opposite, because they're going to get the advantage, obviously. And so you don't see women going into men's sports. You don't see that. Right? It's only to get the advantage, and that's what's really pissing people off, right? And so if you want to play, but either play with the men, or maybe even they talk about this in a later opinion, create a separate league. I don't think that's necessary. I mean, that's kind of silly, but just play with who you're born with. And there may be exceptions. I saw a debate where, I think it was Steve Crowder. Some people are born with female parts and male parts. That's different. That's a 0.018 in the percentage, but that is a possibility. Right. That's a very, very rare thing. It's less than 1%. So way less than 1%. So, I don't know. I think the whole thing is just disingenuous. I think it's just to get an advantage, quite frankly. I play sports and I want to win, and I don't want to act like. I'm sorry.
It's not fair to the athletes. Plus, men and women, they train differently, especially swimmers. Like they literally train. They have a different routine that they get in the pool. They do a different thing every single day. Like I recommend people actually look into the practice sessions that goes into swimming for men and women, because it's incredibly different. And one thing that I wanted to mention is the coach on this team who had Leah Thomas swim. They didn't care that Leah Thomas was trans. They didn't care that it was a biological male. They just wanted them to compete so that they could win, which is also not fair to the female athletes. And also I watched a video that got banned on Twitter by Savannah something. She is on The Blaze a lot and I love her, but she interviewed someone about it, and they were talking about how one woman didn't go to the finals because one woman didn't go compete in the finals because of Leah Thomas, and they actually started crying because they didn't get to the finals.
Right.
They didn't think. Yeah. So that's something that people need to keep in mind. Men and women, like, we train differently. We have different fitness that we do. So that's a completely different thing. And I don't know, I think that if you're biologically a male, you should compete in men's sports. If you're biologically a woman, even if you are transitioning, you should compete in the sports that you were biologically assigned with at birth. So
Right.
that's just my
Wow.
point of view. It might sound hateful, but whatever.
Yeah, well, I'm reading some of these comments here. What Mark's talking about here. O9 A team is here as well. Yeah, it's just amazing the number of people that just want to interject their philosophy on someone else, and it gives people the advantage over the other. See, the part of liberty is that you can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't affect anybody else. And I think that should be the standard. I feel, because when you're putting your rights over someone else, and then you're advancing and you're having an advantage over them, that's where the line gets crossed. What are your thoughts on that aspect of it? Just in general.
I agree with Mark. I mean, you're a man or woman for life. So that doesn't change just because you're transitioning, in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like I come off very transphobic, but these are just my opinions.
Well, the thing is, as a woman, as a female, you have a lot at stake at this. I mean, I have a daughter who, she's not into sports, but if she was, I'd be really concerned. But not that I'm only focused on my own people, but those are the ones that you care about the most. And obviously, you being a woman, this is something that, to me, I would be offended by. It's almost like the person who claims, like, I don't know the guy's name, Takamex, the guy who's a white guy who's passing off as a black guy and trying to get be down with the cause, of the 200 years of oppression and whatever the struggle that's going on. He's trying to take credit for that. Whatever. Come on, dude. Seriously, that's not nearly as bad, because it's not a physical advantage, but it is, the same kind of concept, and that's offensive. So as a woman, I would be the first one standing up. And if you guys don't stand, guys, generic term, don't stand up, then who else is going to do it?
Exactly. I just think it's incredibly, in my opinion, I find it incredibly insulting that nowadays being a woman is just a feeling. Like, femininity is just being completely erased from society. And I find that to be incredibly insulting as a woman. Like a biological woman, I find it insulting that, oh, well, if you just feel like a woman, then that's fine. You get a pass. You can be a feminist or whatever this is. But for me, as a conservative woman, we have a target on our back. And I don't think that's fair. It's like this is so hypocritical to the point where it's just crazy for me to even talk about, because it's like, I just feel like the term of being a woman is now being erased in society. And the only time you can be proud of being a woman is if you are biologically a male.
Yeah, that's really, yeah. I mean, it almost same thing with the civil rights movement, where basically the core of it was, we're not going to judge you by the content, with the color of your skin, but the content of your character. But now it's the opposite. It's almost like they reversed everything. And now, like you just said very well, is the fact that, the only way you can be a woman is to be born a man. I mean, that's because with the Supreme Court justice, I guess, was that Jackson, her last name, I guess, whatever her name is, couldn't even define the term. And that's by design, right? They don't want to do that, because they do that, then they peg themselves into a corner and they offend all the people on the radical left.
Yeah, exactly. It's just insulting.
So let me continue on this guy here, because he had something else to say that I found interesting. His whole logic kind of just fell apart.
So, basketball, football, regardless if they're taking that hormone or estrogen, still going to be some type of strong. That contact between it still be a difference. Okay.
So it's not necessarily fair because it's not an even playing field.
Yeah.
But I think I don't want to assume, but you would think like they should still be allowed to.
Yeah, they still should be allowed to.
But so how would you make up for that unequal playing field? Like, how would you make it fair for the women? Like the women who were born women.
The proper training, and they're training like the women, or who they identify as, then it should be just even.
But even if they train the same, don't they still have that biological advantage that we just talked about?
It goes back to depending on the sport.
Gotcha. Which sports wouldn't it apply to?
Swimming, tennis.
But don't men naturally, like the first place man is still faster than the first place woman?
I mean, that's just probably in history. That's probably statistics. But
That's probably that's just statistics. I'm gonna stop. He obviously said that's just statistics. Like that doesn't mean anything. In other words, that's just facts. That doesn't mean anything. So I don't know. Just hearing this, this word salad of arguments is just really hard to hear. And there doesn't seem to be any clear direction at all. Like this lady here, I'm bringing her up here. She said similar to the same thing, but then there's a group here. It's pretty interesting. They were kind of saying what we were saying, I believe. Let me see if I can.
Pretty upset, and I think from like the professional sports side, if I was training as I identify as a man and I am a biological man, I would be upset to have someone competing with me that was essentially stronger but not, was biologically a female, or, because I guess you set out the playing field in my mind as through evolution that would be wrong from that perspective. I've trained as me, I want to compete on the same level. Yeah. But I think with the gender thing, the fluidity of it all, we're going to end up just seeing more in sport of like mixed gender and people who identify in a different category altogether. And I think that's really good. I think it's helpful.
What are your thoughts about that? Different category altogether. That's coming up a lot now, actually.
Different category altogether that like trans athletes would just compete in?
Sounds like it, yeah. Sounds like it.
Well, so let's say it's like a biological male that's transitioning to a female, and they're competing against someone who's transitioning to a female, and then someone who's transitioning to a man. That would still be not good competition, if that makes sense. So I personally don't agree with that. I think that if you are a biological male, you should compete in male sports. If you're a biological woman, then you should compete in women's sports. That's like you know what I mean?
And plus it's expensive. I mean, because you have to set whole new leagues and everything. I mean, if they want to do a private thing, I mean, but that's, who's going to watch that? People barely watch WNBA.
I mean, he literally just lost me on that. Like what he was saying, like a different category for transgenders. Like that doesn't make any sense because, like I said, you could be competing against someone transitioning to a female will be competing against someone transitioning to a male. So that doesn't make sense to me.
Right.
Why? And it would just be so complicated for people to compete because it's like a biological male should compete against a biological male. Biological female should compete against a biological female, regardless of how you're transitioning, etc. And people were making the argument that Leah Thomas, because they're a biological male, was transitioning for 3 years. And then they were like, oh, then they should be allowed to compete because they've transitioned, they've trained, etc. But this biological male, was on the men's swim team. So he was learning how to swim. He was a biological male. He was being trained. And then all of a sudden he goes to this team. And how would he train if he's trying to transition to a female? Oh, okay. Like, that doesn't make any sense. This is, you know what I mean? This is a guy. So it's like, I just find it incredibly insulting. And then if you're like a biological woman and you're an athlete competing with someone who's transitioning to become female, even though they're a male, wouldn't you feel insulted or just uncomfortable during practice and rehearsal and in the locker room? Like, that to me is just a whole nother ball game. I don't know.
My wife played Division I water polo in college for Villanova. And we talk about this, and she's like, I mean, the men's water polo team, they're amazing. I mean, and it wouldn't even be a contest. I mean, if they were, it's a very physical sport. And that's the thing I want to get over. Swimming isn't that physical in terms of injury, but water polo, you can break someone's nose, you can break someone's leg underneath the water. I mean, it's really, what goes under the water, it's like brutal. And So when you do that, you run the risk of someone getting injured in some of these sports. You really do, and because they don't know where to stop, they don't know where to draw the line. There was the story a few years back where the woman got her face, her head fractured. UFC, it was mixed martial arts, where it was a transition, and the guy just fractured his skull. And so now we're talking about what's it going to take? Is it going to take a death in the ring or on the field or on the pitch for people to figure this out? Because I think personally, there's going to be an arms race, so to speak. Once they start giving medals happening, you have a smaller country that can't compete. Guess what they're going to do? And then the whole thing of competition just goes out the window. And they have these poor girls who trained their entire lives, and now they can't compete at any level because it's been totally removed from competition. Because if you're not a certain size, whatever, you can't compete here. Because trust me, these sports are based on metrics. If you are a football player, and if you're a cornerback, if you can't run a certain speed to get because the field is certain width, and if you can't get from A to B with a quarterback that can throw the ball X number of miles per hour, you can't be a cornerback. Otherwise, you're going to get blown away. And those metrics are important. And if you can't make those metrics, you can't play the sport or that position. That's just how it is. When you get to the highest level of competition, that's what happens. So anyway, in this comment here I want to talk to you about in golf, and Mark raises a really good point here, because you have the red tees for women, you have the black tees generally for white tees are typically for the amateurs, and the black tees or the blue tees for people who are professionals. And he's saying, if you do that, then you're gonna have to throw out that kind of thing too. So it's going to be harder for women to compete. There was a woman professional golfer that went to the men's tour, which is totally legal in the PGA, but she had to hit from the black tees, and she couldn't compete because she couldn't hit as far. And when and she's a really talented player, but if you can't drive as far, you're already 30 yards behind. You know what I'm saying? And you're just at a disadvantage. It's just very difficult to maintain a 4-round course over the course of a weekend and win when you can't. And you're always being down 30 yards on every single drive. It's just very difficult. So anyway, what are your thoughts on that? I've talked a lot.
I agree. That's what I'll say. I don't really know that much about golf, so yeah, like I love golf. It's a cool sport, but I don't want to say something and then sound like a stupid, dumb woman. So I'm just not going to get into golf and that kind of stuff because I don't want to be called dumb and say something that I don't know about golf. Well, but yeah.
I kind of went a little rant there, but I mean, I just didn't feel like I didn't want to take up all the time of talking, so I figured get you a chance to talk edgewise there. Mark here says if you can't win on a hard mode, then so you switch to easy mode, which sums up. I mean, people should get this. I mean, I don't know why this is even a discussion. Feminists say they're equal to men. Time to prove it. It's time the only way to prove the idiocy of the feminist movement. Well, I would say maybe the modern feminist movement, because if you make sure we define our terms properly, make sure that we're not, misconstrued. But I know exactly what you mean at 0-18. But people want to see, they want to read into things, and they want to mislabel you. It's just we live in times where we have to censor ourselves because people who don't have common sense in terms of knowing what's going on with proper context, or they have an agenda to make you be a certain way so they can, shut you down or get you canceled, whatever. That's all this is about. I think people are getting tired of this. So
yeah, agreed.
Let me go to this woman's clip here. This is actually a small clip. Let's see what she has to say.
Biological men should be able to compete in biological women's sports.
I mean, to me, it's not a problem at all, so it wouldn't shock me. After, I bet that there are some rules that needs to be made, otherwise then everyone will compete and it won't be very, just. But, I think if it's well done, then, I think no problem.
Why would there need to be rules, certain rules?
I mean, if there are rules for only men, then, if there are trans with or without, obviously it needs to be clear, Because I think there is a point where competing both of them, then it won't be the same thing. So it won't be very equal. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. So there needs to be certain rules just to make it a little bit more fair for the women who are competing, like the biological women. Okay. Do you think?
Did you catch that? I didn't really follow her logic there.
She's basically saying that they should compete and that it wouldn't really be a problem, but there should be certain rules made, which doesn't really make sense to me, because if you are, like I said over and over again, you should compete in the place where you were with the gender you were biologically assigned with at birth. And when it comes to like rules, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Like, what rules would we be talking about? Everyone should have the chance to compete. But if you're a biological male, you should compete with men. If you're a biological woman, you should compete with women. Like, it's not, like, to me, I just believe that it's common sense. And for some reason nowadays people think it's just very I just think it's common sense to me, and I don't know if that sounds like hateful or whatever, and if it does, oh well, like, it's just basic biology. But I don't understand the whole point of like different rules. Like, she should have gone into more detail about what that means. Because just because you're transitioning does not mean you're going to transition as a man to a woman. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's almost like a handicap in golf. If you're, in golf, basically, if you can shoot 72 is typically what they call par. It's hard to do. You're called a scratch golfer. But if you can't, then you get a handicap, which means that you can compete with anybody. You can compete with like a Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson if your handicap would be just really, really high, so that it averages out to make it even. But that would have to vary for every single sport, and it'd be confusing. It would, and the money wouldn't be there because people wouldn't want to watch it. Do you give a person a trampoline in basketball if they're a certain way? And then when does it stop? Does it stop with just that? They've already done it academics, in terms of like, I believe it was Harvard. I can't remember exactly where it was, but where the Asian scores were actually brought down because they were doing too well and they were being overly represented, and they wanted to have more diversity, but because they were having the higher scores, they're bringing their scores down to let other people to come in. And so they're doing that thing because they want equity, but equity isn't equal. And we know about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, men and women are different.
And
I've said this in like many videos, but men and women, we have differences. And we need to kind of understand that. And I feel like a lot of feminists, they reject that. So instead of recognizing the differences between men and women, because it's the truth, men can't give birth, they can't get pregnant, women can. It's almost as if you say that to a feminist nowadays, with third wave feminism just being completely full of psychopaths and crazy people, they will get mad at you and call you a misogynist or sexist. And to me, I don't understand that, because it's like, men and women in reality, when it comes to biology, we're not equal. We have differences, and we need to understand those differences as a society. And nowadays, it's like, if you note those differences, you're going to be called names. And I don't like that. Yeah, men and women are different, and I don't know why people think that's hateful nowadays, but whatever. Like, give me a break, man. Like, what?
We're truly living in a bizarro world here.
Everyone.
It's just like privilege. It's not just with genderism. It's just like with academics or whatever. It's just with it's with privilege, white privilege. If you're white, you have privilege. Come on, give me a break. And so that's just a way to just get people to feel less, and then to be in a position of power to complain about it, and then add set asides and whatever. And that's really what I think what's happening here. It's this mentality that we have to be at an equal level. But not everyone is equal, like you just said. And who cares if you're not equal? I'm horrible in science. In math, right? But I'm a pretty good programmer. Okay. I'll never be able to dunk a basketball at all. But I will probably beat LeBron James in a programming contest. The problem is no one cares about that. People are willing to pay for basketball, which is perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. So that's just the way it is. And I think people need to understand that God, first of all, God made us, and he didn't make trash, he didn't make garbage, he didn't make anything. He made you the way he wanted to make you, and that's it. And you have special gifts and blessing and gifts, and those gifts promote fruits, and those fruits benefit society. And I don't know why we can't go back to just a basic natural law perspective, even if you're not a tenant of the Bible or anything like that. Can we just get back to basic natural law perspective of what this country was certainly founded on?
Yeah, feminism has just gone way too far, where it's like they want women to appear more masculine, and then they want women and men to be the same when we're not the same. And when you say that, I remember mentioning this to someone on campus before I decided to transfer, and they got so mad. They had like a hissy fit with me. They were like, "Oh, men and women can be the same." And I was like, "No, they can't. They're incredibly different. They have different functions. They have different. They're different." In the Bible, if you read Genesis, Eve came from Adam's rib. And when I mentioned that to a feminist, they got really mad at me, but it's the truth. Like, I'm not going to ignore scripture, and I'm not going to ignore my faith and stuff like that. And it's like, men and women, they do have differences. They're not the same. It's just the truth. Like, I'm sorry if that's like offensive, but whatever. Like, you know what? I'm not sorry. Just saying. But yeah, it's crazy. We live in such a clown world, man. We live in a world of clowns.
Yeah. Did you catch the last part of that clip where the woman came in and started talking about the differences of women? Let me bring that up. I think this will be the last one I do.
How would you define a woman, like Webster dictionary definition? Like, it doesn't have to be like just like if you were to look it up in the dictionary, what do you think it says?
A
like,
woman?
yeah, how can you define a woman?
Can I define a woman? A strong person.
You know what? I've had multiple people say that today. A strong person.
A woman is stronger than a man. Was mental, whatever. You always got a plan B, C, backup.
Gotcha. I hear what you're saying.
Man, it was a woman.
So a strong person. But couldn't that also actually apply to a guy?
It can, but the obstacles women deal with
So this is another person that comes in here and jumps in here and she gets her opinion
on a daily basis and in life.
Okay, so you would define a woman by the obstacles and her life experiences, which would be like what kind of experience? Like, what are the obstacles? Like, what obstacles do women face that men don't, I guess?
By the way, Kyra, your outfit's way better than his.
Thank you so much. Like, this. Oh my gosh, men and women are different. Like, bro, did he say that women are stronger than men? I'm sorry. Is that what he said?
He did.
That's not true. Men are stronger than women. That's not true. Biologically, would you agree with this? That men are stronger than women?
Well, the bone density is absolutely. I mean, that's a scientific fact. I mean, on the average, there's some women that are stronger than some men, and there's some, you know what I'm saying, but on the average, men are stronger than women. Yeah, just by bone density alone. And bone density, you have more muscles, and just the science, man.
What'd you say? Menstrual period, she said.
Walking down the street.
Dude, can you want to get in and say it? Okay. What are the obstacles that women face that men don't?
Menstrual periods, pregnancy, a lot, basically.
You know, I mean, but they can take it. Whereas it's kind of different.
So she said, you said harassments, and then she said, well, men can take harassments, or men go through harassments, and then you said, but they can take it. So women can't take the harassment.
They can, but they're sensitive about it. So if I'm like, hey, what's up? It's like.
So it's a sense, but women are more sensitive.
More sensitive because it's men that's sensitive too. Like, I know some men that's some crybabies. Like, so I don't know about it.
I'm not one.
I got you. Okay, so okay.
Back to your last question, I disagree. I don't think, well, if men are, transgender men or whatever, women, however you want to say it, if trans women, if they do decide to, like, compete and stuff, I don't think they should be able to win, because I know one just won. And I'm like, I don't think that's fair, because at the end of the day, you're still capable of doing more things than a woman can. At the end of the day, like, they can change their voice back to a man's voice if they wanted to, and just like that. So no, I don't think that that's fair, because they're way stronger. Like, no, it's not physically fair.
All right, so we'll leave it right there. I think we lost Kyra there, but she's back. I think let's get her back on. So, did you catch that at the end? I think that was a perfect way to end this particular segment, because I'm frankly tired of talking about this. I don't talk about this much on the channel, but it's almost, you can't. I've been trying to avoid this topic on the channel for literally 2 years, and now, you know, it'd probably be the death of the channel, but we'll see. But I mean, it's banned. I'm sorry.
I hope you don't get banned. I mean, we already kind of mentioned someone that's like very controversial, but we didn't say his name. So I hope you don't get banned. But,
right.
Yeah, I hope. What did he say? I missed that last part.
The actual last section where the woman came in.
Yeah.
You want to play it again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you define a
right here.
don't?
Menstrual periods.
Right there.
Wait, so you said harassments, and then she said, well, men can take harassments, or men go through harassments, and then you said, but they can take it. So women can't take the harassment.
They can, but they're sensitive about it. So if I'm like, hey, what's up? It's like,
so it's a but women are more sensitive.
More sensitive, because it's men that's sensitive too. Like, I know some men that's some crybabies. Like, so I don't know about it.
I'm not one.
I got you. Okay, so
back to your last question, I disagree. I don't think, well, if men are, transgender men or whatever, women, however you want to say it, if trans women, if they do decide to like compete and stuff, I don't think they should be able to win, because I know one just won. And I'm like, I don't think that's fair, because at the end of the day, you're still capable of doing more things than a woman can. At the end of the day, like, they can change their voice back to a man's voice if they wanted to, and just like that. So no, I don't think that that's fair, because they're way stronger. Like, no, it's not physically fair.
See that right there? I mean, I think women are going to have to be the ones to drive this message, because if men do it, we're just going to be, shut up, whatever. I think women are going to be the one to fight this battle. Just like I think Black conservatives have to be the one to fight the battle for, just BLM, all the crap that goes on, CRT and stuff. Not that white people don't have a voice, but I think Black people need to lead the charge there. I think women need to lead the charge here. I think people who are categorized as these sectionalism groups need to be the ones to charge it. That way we can counterbalance all the other narratives that they come out saying we're sexist, homophobic, whatever it is, just because of how we look. It's ridiculous. It's stupid. It's childish.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway, so let's get back to your outfit. All right. So
same outfit.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but yours is better.
Thank you.
You don't want to talk about it. That's fine.
I
won't bring it up. I won't bring it up.
Got this at Dillard's. It has like the fabric, I guess, is ethnically from Hispanic brands. So it's really cool. I like it. It's kind of very important to my state, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, thank you for all the nice comments about my outfit. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
I think it's fabulous. All right, I'm going to end this thing before I see if I still have a channel after this. Yeah, this was a rough topic, because it's just so sensitive. And look, I don't know about you, and I'm sure you feel the same way I do. I have compassion for people who are going through this sort of thing, and I have my own opinion about that. I'll leave it there, but I do have compassion. But I think I'm looking at everybody, because in terms of liberty, you can do, in my opinion, you can do whatever you want to do as long as you don't affect anyone else's rights. And I think this kind of stuff here borders it. No, it does that. We've already seen that. And the women are now speaking up who came in second or third or who didn't qualify. who worked their entire lives. That's unfair to me. That's just totally unfair, and there's got to be a better way to do it. Let them compete where they were before. I mean, that way everyone wins. I don't think any man would have any problem with a transgender being involved in their sport. I don't think so. If they are, then they really would be a bigot in that regard. But I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? And I'll let you close it out on that note, unless you want to talk about some of the articles I have out here.
You'll get banned if I share my opinion. I don't.
I do have. I think I have delay on this. I can beep you out the last one. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway,
it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Talk off camera.
Yeah,
I really don't want you to get banned.
We should definitely talk off camera. All right, let me remove this. So anyway, guys,
I don't want you to get banned because I was thinking to myself, I was like,
Yeah, I think I lost you there. Well, if I lost Kyra, I'm gonna do this myself here and close everybody out. So if she comes back on, I'll actually bring her back on. But for now, everybody, I just want to thank everyone for this live stream. I'm gonna go through the comments here and go to people who actually commented and go through some of the ones that have actually starred. Mark Jackson said earlier that it was Harvard that they shunned the Asian applicants as well. Thank you for helping me out there. Let's come up here to another comment from Jerry. She said, John Zermick wrote a great article on this. I will see if my name is Legend. I'll look that up. And Mark again says, Friendly Sports, not competition. Oh, here, she's still not there. I think she disconnected. Okay, Kyra's gone for now. Men and women can play away. She's back. Okay, let's get her back. All right, here you are. All right, so I'm just closing everything out, going through the comments that we missed and recap the live stream money that people have put in. And Kyra, there's a lot of negative. I mean, it's funny. I would be the one to get banned, but you should see the negative racist comments that are in this chat. It's really, I find it hilarious because you can only call someone the N-word so many times, but I've literally been called the N-word on this thing at least about 8 times, right? And so, yeah, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all because they have nothing else to say. They don't have any stake in any arguments whatsoever. They can't articulate any kind of argument, so they name call. And so that's all they have. So all these people who have donated money here, I really appreciate that. And with that being said, I am going to end this right here. Let me close this out here, guys. And once again, you can carry it back one time. She's still there. So I'm just closing everything out. Kyra, can you tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, how they can contact you, how they can support you while you're still online and not censored and shadow banned and canceled?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. My YouTube is Kyra Bowlby. My Instagram is @RealKyraBowlby. My Telegram is Kyra Marion Carol Bowlby. My Facebook is Kyra Marion Carol Bowlby, and you can also reach me on Gab and Parlor @Kyra Bowlby. It's the same handle for both. Uppercase K, uppercase B.
All right, perfect. I got rid of your banner. I gotta redo it so it's more accurate because I think I have some other ones in there that weren't no longer valid. So,
Okay.
but thank you for that. And I guess that's it. Everybody, I want to thank. There's one more comment here. Let me see what's out here. Hopefully, no one's calling me the N-word. Let me see. Oh yeah, I guess I got called out. One last N-word. Oh no, it's not. I'm getting really. Okay, here we go. This is Mark. Okay, here we go. Let me. Yep. Okay, let me come here. Let's go to some Mark's comments. He's pretty good here. So he says here, real quick. I want Kyra's raw opinions. Yeah. Well, we can do it offline, Mark. Kyle's black. He tells YouTube he'll never get banned.
Uh-oh.
Oh man.
He's so funny.
He's very clever. He's very clever.
Such a nice guy. Nice, funny guy.
Yeah, I really enjoy Epstein's Ghost. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm gonna stop here before that's it. I'm done. All right. Are we done?
Yeah.
We're done. Okay, bye. Have a great night. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.